Hey guys, welcome to our Skolo Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. I have to start by apologizing. I know it has been over 2 weeks since I released a video. In my defense, I have been extremely busy, but I have not forgotten about this tutorial series, and we're gonna continue today where we left off, like 2 weeks ago or something. So let's get learning. So let's get through the admin first very quickly. If you're watching this video, please remember to smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. You'll find it at the bottom of the video. It really helps the channel when you interact with the video and sort of prompts that YouTube algo to show our video to more people. All right, so do comment, do like the videos, just interact positively with it. And if you go into the description, you'll access the description via that show more button under the video. Just click it and open it up. All right, there's a lot of links that I'm going to link in the description. So if you hear me say in the video, I'm going to link it in the description below. That's where you're going to find it, all right? And I also will be linking timestamps to the videos. I have generally very long videos, at least an hour long, sometimes even up to 2-3 hours, okay? So I don't expect you to watch the entire video. You might just want to catch a few sections here and there. So make use of the timestamps, okay? You can see the timestamp and a short high level description about what that timestamp is about, and then just click on it and you'll be taken forward to that part of the video so you can watch that. And it's also useful when you come back in future. Hey, so if you wanted to remind yourself of something, use the timestamps, all right? And then I will also link the previous videos in the series. So this is, I think, video number 5 now. There's many more videos, and there's more videos I've made on OpenAI. I will link them below. So if you're just catching up with us and maybe you want to catch up on something we've done previously, have a look at those links and watch those videos as well, so that by the time you get to this video, you sort of understand what we're doing, all right? And I also have, our social media, the usual stuff, all right? And I've got my email address there as well. So feel free to write me an email, and I will try as much as possible to respond, okay? So today, we've done a lot, okay? So if you've been following along at this point, you should have a working application, all right? You should be able to log out of the application. You should be able to log into the application. You should be able to, when you log in, it will take you to a dashboard, which currently has nothing. So today we're gonna start populating this dashboard and start putting in some OpenAI code in here to start generating some content. All right, and we're going to start working on the profile. So you should be able to go into a profile page, which will show you, some very, like profile information, your username, your, and so forth. And there's something I've added. I'm going to just explain to you quickly, but you should have all of this working. So last week where I left off, we were not displaying that username, that first name and last name. And I'm just going to show you quickly how to update your code so that you display that properly. Usually with the Django forms, every Django form, there's 2 types of Django forms that you can have. Well, many, but 2 main ones that we work with, which is like just a normal form. And then we've got something that we call it's called like a model form, all right? So we work mostly with model forms, and model forms are forms which are directly related to a specific model. So if you have a look at the forms that we've been working with over here, these are our forms. You'll see at the top there, we say forms.model form, okay? So when you see a form.model form, you must know that that form is associated with a specific model. So our form.model form always has at the bottom a class meta, which defines which model that form is related to. So our model form for creating this profile update was a model form that worked up on the profile model, which we created under our models over here. And we had a profile model, and it had a user related field, okay, one-to-one field, and then it had all of these things, addresses, whatever. And all of these other variables are not included inside of the user form, but inside of the user model, but they are inside of the profile model. And the profile model in a way extends the user model, especially if you use the one-to-one field. It's sort of a nice way to sort of like then add more information that is not available inside of the user model. So we're going to be able to manage things like subscriptions and all of those things inside of our profile. We're going to extend and expand this model as we build our application. But the problem that this thing represents, especially when you're working now with a model form, which is a challenge that maybe some of you will experience as a beginner, is that inside of the model meta fields, you'll see that there's no first name and last name. We have first name and last name inside of the form itself, because it makes sense that somebody updating their model will want to update their username, their first name, their last name, and their address. The user on the front end cannot differentiate that you, as a designer in the back end, you've got a user model that manages this information, and then you got another profile model that has this other information. So you want to make the process as seamless as possible for the user. You don't want them to fill one form that then records their profile information and another form for their user information, because that's not going to make sense on the user front end. So on the user front end, they see everything as one form. But what we're doing in the back end is that we've added these fields inside of the form, but they are not included inside of the meta fields because they are not inside of the profile model. So I've done a couple of extra work to make sure that when somebody saves this form, that this information will then be included inside of the user field automatically. And I think we had done that already last week. So what I've added this week was that now when the form displays, it also displays the current instance of the first name and the last name. So they can see what is their current first name and last name, and then they can change it. Because now, when you define the form inside of the fields, you have to provide an instance of the form, right? And the instance is normally the field or the model that form is sort of connected to. So if you have a form field that is connected to a profile model, when you provide an instance for that form, you have to provide a profile instance. So when we created the form and we provided an instance, we had to go and say request.user.profile. This is the current profile of the user that is currently logged in right now. So every request object has a user, and then we can then find the profile of that user, because the profile is connected to the user on a one-on-one, one-to-one relationship. So I can actually say user.profile to access the profile of that user. So when I get the profile of that user, I can actually add it to the form as the instance for the form. So when the form gets rendered, it will get the current profile information for that user and display that information so that the user can see what is currently saved, so that when they choose to update it, they know what they are updating, right? So it's seamless for the user. But the first name and the last name are not included in the profile class, so the instance cannot catch it. And there's no way you can say, there's no other way to actually show that. So I had to do a bit of extra work, which is what I'm going to show you how I managed to do it. All right. So what I did is that when I created the form, you can pass the instance into the form, but you can also pass any other arguments you want to pass into the form. So you can pass quarks, you can pass any other argument you feel is necessary that you want to use when you're rendering rendering the form. So I've decided to pass the current user profile as a an argument into the form, right? So then I can access it inside of the form init method and then use it to display the current value of the instance of the username manually, right? So what I did is that I passed the user in here on the form, and you must also pass it inside of the get and the post. You must pass it both in both places. So then I'll be able to access this class. This variable that I've passed in the form. If I go into my form init method, there is a method you can use of quarks pop. All right. So when you init the form, you get the args and the quarks. Okay. So the quarks are like your arguments, right? So you can get to those arguments inside of the form init method, and then you can pass it into the form layout so that it then gets rendered when the form gets rendered, right? So what I've done here is that then I've said quarks pop user, because user is what I called this argument over there. I called it user. If I'd called it, I don't know, anything I decided to call it, then I have to pop it there, and then suddenly I have the user variable inside of the init method, all right? And then I can use it as a value when I'm initializing this field, All right. So initially we didn't even have a field because it wasn't necessary to have a field. But now that I need to specify an initial value, I want to specify an existing instance in a way. I've added the field sort of class, and you must remember to import it as well at the top. So at the top where you import crispy form layout classes, you're going to import the layout, the submit, the row, the column. So far we didn't have the field imported, but you can import the field as well, because then the field class allows you to specify a value, right? And then you can specify the value as the self.user, which is what you have defined at the top there from the arguments which came with the form. And then you can get the user first name, because the user is actually a class. It's a user class. You'll see over here when I sent the user over there, it's a request.user. It's their user class. And now I can just say self.user.first name there, and I can say self.user.last name there as a value. And that sort of helps to then, when the form renders, for you to see the initial value for the first name and the last name. And then when you save the form, you also have to do a little bit extra, because it is a model form. It won't save the first name and the last name automatically because they are not inside of the profile model. So we added this last week where we did an override of the save method. And inside of the self method, we get the self.instance.user, all right? And then we sort of like then say, and you can only get the instance, by the way, after the save, right? Because then you've defined it inside of the other thing. So you can then say the user.first name is the clean data, get what's in the first name, field. And then the user last name is that, and then you save the user, and then you go and you super save the profile. So we talked about this in the last video, but I'm just reminding you that those are the 2 extra steps you want to do. All right. I haven't tried, I'm sure yeah, no, actually you might not be able to do that. Yeah. So actually just do it the way I've done it here. This works. Okay. It's a little bit of extra work, but it works, and I've tested it, and we can test it again. You'll see currently this is the current users. I'm just going to refresh this page, make sure it's working and it's running. So the current user is Maximus Great. I'm going to change this user to, I don't know, give me a name, Jane Doe. All right. I'm going to save this user to Jane Doe. And then I'm going to add some more addresses. Address line 2, I'm just going to say this is Nelson Mandela estate or something like that, and then it's in Rivonia. Let's change this code to 4321 to make sure that this code changes and the name also changes. Okay, and if you save the changes, you'll see the name has remained there. So it saved this into the user class. It saved this into the profile class. And this is a nice way. If you can actually take this and adapt it, because it's quite Django. It's a Django advanced stuff. Being able to create one form that has 2 different models in it, and being able to save parts of one model and parts of one model of another model at the same time, being able to display parts of one model and parts of another model. It's something that you have to do a little bit of extra work, but I'm teaching you some Django advanced stuff in there, right? So now I'm very happy with my profile page. What we want to do next is, I'm just trying to think whether I should work on the billing yet, or we'll work on the billing at the end. I think maybe let's talk on the billing at the end. Let's just assume that when somebody logs in for now, they've got all the access to do everything that they need to do. So later on, when we have completed all the functionality of the application, then we're going to build in the billing where we'll now be able to, if you look over here inside of our landing page, we said we will have like different sort of like plans that people will have. And then if you're on this plan, we'll be able to check your billing method, and then we'll be able to check that you're on this plan. And like, we can keep track of the characters that you're using. And every time you use it, we sort of, we limit you to this. And then when it's over, you have to upgrade your package or whatever. But we'll do that at the end. I think it will be easier to do that at the end. Let's start right now with the real interesting stuff. Okay. So I can go straight to the dashboard. Let's start building the dashboard. Let's think about, I actually want to leave the blog stuff to the end. Okay, the blog assistant will have a topic generator. Maybe it will have a blog section generator, and then it will have like a blog layout generator, and then you'll have a section. And I've had this question many times, people asking me, can't we just do this in one go? Can I just give the AI builder a topic, and then it just builds the entire blog, or it at least recommends an entire sort of like layout with sections in it, right? The answer to that question is yes, technically you can, but the OpenAI will probably never approve that use case because they are very strict about having a human interface in the process. So if you want to build a blog builder, actually let's do that. Let's start with the blog. Let's do the blog assistant first. Okay, so it will have a blog topic generator. Let's see what our blog assistant will look like. So I'm going to close all of these things so that I can just reopen all my files from scratch. The first thing I want to look at here is the layout. So let's see the layout page. The layout class, the layout for the dashboard. All right, that's it. And then let me just search for this blog topic. I just want to see this part. There you go. So this blog topic generator, we'll probably have to have a blog topic generator, a blog. Let me just put it in here while I'm thinking. And put it in while I'm thinking. The next thing we'll need to have is a blog. Blog layout. Okay. Blog layout. Generator. So that once you have a topic, so you'll start with generating some topics. Okay, and after you've generated topics, and you'll go into the layout. But let me think, shouldn't we like flow this instead of, yeah, so let me rather do something different. So instead of calling this a blog topic, let me just call it a blog generator. Okay, and then we'll make this easy for the user. Technically it will be different pages. All right, it will be different pages, but we will not have it as menu items. You'll start here, and then it will say, okay, you're on the blog generator page. Start by creating a topic. Once you've created a topic, then you do the next thing, do the next thing, do the next thing. So let's rather do it like that. And then for that, we're gonna need 2 classes. All right. We're going to need to create 2 classes, and I'll explain to you what those classes are and why I'm going to do it the way that I'm going to do it. The first class we're going to create is a blog class. All right. And a blog class. So let me go back to my notes. Where is my notes? All right. Let me pause this, find my notes, and then I can write what I'm doing as I'm doing it so that you can sort of, follow along, because I'm just talking now and you're going to lose what I'm saying. Okay, cool. So I got my note writer to help us along. Okay, so these notes are the same notes that we've been following from the beginning of the tutorial. We're just going to continue with the same note. Unfortunately, I'm not going to share the link to these notes anymore, but just follow along and watch the video, and go back to the video if you want to see the note. Pause the video, okay, and then read the note that way. Now what we're going to do first with our blog writer tool is we're going to ask you to generate blog topic ideas. So we're going to take the whole process from the beginning to the end, and we want to guide the user along the process. So we're going to start by saying generate blog topic ideas. The AI will give us a couple of blog topic ideas that we can work with. We're going to ask the user 2 things. Give us a topic that you want to write about, and enter some keywords, because everybody usually has keywords for, and that also helps the AI writer, I've noticed, to come up with ideas that sort of fit your keywords. All right. Then after that, we're going to then use this information to get some topics that the user can work with. And then they will choose one topic out of the list we give them. And once they've chosen a topic, we're going to take them to the next step where we say, okay, fine, you've selected this topic. We're going to create for you sections, for a blog sections, like introductions and different parts of a blog that you would need to fill in to be able to write a blog, right? So we will generate those sections, and then once we generated those sections, it will take them to the last part where the user will sort of say, if they're happy with the sections or not, or they can click a button and maybe get the user to get the blog tool to generate different type of sections. Maybe they didn't like the sections they got. I think we'll have to find some way of saying, if you don't like this section, you can rerun the whole thing. But every time you rerun the AI tool, you are using up your credits. Okay, so it's not for free. If they don't like the sections they're getting, they can rerun the tool and get different sections, right? Because every time you run the tool, you get a different result. Then after that, once they're happy with the sections, then we will we'll take those sections and put them into an AI, into a blog writer. We'll get some sort of text HTML text writer of sorts. I'll think about maybe something like CK editor. And then when they get to that part, they will be able to use that CK editor to now fill in the missing blanks. So they'll have a topic and they'll have sections. And then they have to start writing, parts of the blog. And at that point, we can still get the AI writer to help them. So we can still say, start writing something, write a sentence, and then you can get the AI writer. But we're not going to allow the AI writer to just start writing from scratch. We want people to actually also guide the AI writer. And I found that with the OpenAI, it works much better if you provide it with, certain, prompts as well. As much as you can give it a direction or instruction to say, generate this, it's useful if you at least write the first sentence of that part so that it sort of sees what direction you're going to, and then it writes the rest. So this part will be sort of like, it will be a process where the tool and the user work together to do that. And then once we're done with that, they'll be able to work on a sort of like a CK editor, tool, and they'll be able to press buttons here and there and get the the thing to sort of create sections for them, and it will be interesting. We're gonna have to like put in a lot of front end, JavaScripting to get the tool to be as flawless as possible, because with the Django, sometimes Django, every time you want to get new data in, you sort of have to refresh the page and stuff like that. But we're gonna try and work with JavaScript and with like jQuery to sort of like run the commands in the background and immediately bring the results forward, so that the user doesn't feel like every time they've got to submit a form to get a request. Okay, so we're gonna try and see how to do that and get that to work as seamlessly as possible. So this is going to be very interesting. Okay, this is going to be the most involved part of our integration with OpenAI. The other use cases are going to be very simple. They're not going to be as complicated as this. For example, when we got the use case of generate cold emails, we're just going to get what is the topic about, blah, 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 and then boom, generate cold emails. But this one, generating a blog, you have to do it in sections, and the AI tool doesn't have like one instruction where you can generate an entire blog of 1,000 words, So you have to get the topics, you have to get the sections, then you have to expand on the sections, and there's no other way around it if you're using the OpenAI tool. And you can't automate that whole thing. OpenAI doesn't allow it. They they just won't even approve your app. Okay, so you do have to do it in sections. The user has to be involved in sort of guiding the process into what kind of blog they're going to end up with. Then we're going to need 2 classes to enable this. I thought about it quite a bit, all right? And this will also help us to sort of keep in storage the information. Like if the user then logs out, let's say they wrote their blog halfway and they didn't finish, and they logged out of the system and they logged back in, we wouldn't want them to have lost all of that information, right? We don't want them to like come back and they must start from scratch. But also, you'll see when we're working with the AI tool, we are going to need some of this content saved in the background so that we can get it to send it to the tool. So I've thought about this. Maybe we can expand this as we go along. But for now, we're going to get a blog model which has a title, some keywords, and a word count. We will try and calculate and do the word count automatically on the fly so that we can display very nicely for the user prominently how long their blog is as they are writing it. And then we'll have like blog sections, and the blog section will just have a title of the section and a body, right? And the title of section will be the subtitle inside of the blog, and the body will be the parts of the blog, So all the blog content will actually be inside of the blog sections, and each and every blog section will have a related field with the blog. So a blog will have a couple of blog sections that are assigned to it. So a blog class will have maybe 2 or 3 blog sections. And I think that will help us to sort of break this down nicely when we're working with the AI. That's just my approach, all right? This is like not the only way. I've thought about it. I've thought, okay, if I do it this way, it'll be the better way of doing it. So I'm going to just start with that. We're going to go straight into, let's create the classes first. And then once we create the classes, then we can go straight into the AI tool, okay? So I'm going to just copy that. Actually, I don't need to copy the whole thing because maybe the indents, it'll get the indents wrong. So maybe let me just write it properly. So the first class will be the blog class, and it will have a title. It will have a keywords. right? It will have a word count. Cool. Then I'm gonna just include this in my admin class so that I don't forget. So in my admin page, I'm just going to edit right next to the other class that I already have. If you remember, we are working on the dashboard app in a way. So this is like, you know, everything will be inside of this dashboard app. All right. So the first model we'll create will be a blog. So I'm just going to copy that and put it down here. Then this title, keywords, and word count will all be character fields. Okay, so this is going to be a very simple model. So I'm going to use character fields. I don't expect there to be a blog title that is more than 100 words, but you know, I don't want this to to have issues with my thing. So I'm going to just make this 200. And the keywords as well is very likely somebody will have lots of keywords, but I don't know, I'll limit this at 300. And then the word count, obviously, this will be a count. It should be technically an integer, but I'm just going to have it as a string anyway, and I don't think this will be more than 100 because I like to just keep even integers as strings inside of the database. It's just how I like to do it, because then I'll remember how I do it all the time. Then I don't get confused as to whether I use a character or an integer field. Then after this, I think these are all the things we need for the blog. We probably need a related field with a profile because we need to know who the blog belongs to. So every time the profile logs back in, we can then say, oh, okay, your blogs, these are your blogs. You have so many blogs you've written and so forth. So we're going to have a related field with profile. Okay, it's not going to be a one-to-one. It's going to be what they call the Django related field. Let me just Google this. Related field. I don't know. It's just I do this all the time. What foreign key? Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So this is going to be a foreign key, and it's going to be a foreign key with the profile class because we want to be able to get a profile. And then on delete, this is very important for you to specify what must happen on delete of this foreign key. And I think cascade is okay because I don't want to keep blogs in the system if somebody deleted their profile. So if a user profile gets deleted, then this blog will also get deleted as well. And I think that's okay because the alternative is something like set null. And then if you say set null, it means the blogs, you can have blogs that remain in your database that are not related to any person. They're just going to be using up space. I think if a person deletes their profile, we probably want their content to go as well. And then this can't be nullable. It can't be blankable. It can be left blank. It must always have, so every time a blog is created, they must always define a profile with the blog, all right? Otherwise, we can always add null here. Null is equals to true. And then that means that, okay, no, you can create a blog without assigning it to a profile, but we wouldn't want to do that in this case because, every blog would have a profile. Then I think that's all we need for this one. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy these utility fields that I use every time. All right, so I'll have, as usual, my unique ID. So I can have a unique ID for the blog, a slug, which I will use for SEO and things like that. The last time it was created and the last time it was updated. I mean, the first time it was created and the last time, and the created date is always there within the Django things, but I like to define it in my model as well because I'm just used to doing it that way. And then the string function here must, maybe we want to show the, we want to show the title of the blog and then maybe the unique ID. I think that's okay. So we can have self.title and then we can have self.unique ID so that the string will always be a unique this will always be a unique variable, because the slug, you'll see that I've set unique is equals to true, and the slug is actually, we slugify the string version of, the string part of the blog, which means that we need this to be unique all the time. So if two people inside of your application chose a blog that has the same title, you'll have an error if you have made this unique is equals to true under the slug, and then the slug depends on the title. Understand? So maybe that's why we put in the because I want a unique slug, because I use a slug to route and to route to the blog detailed page and stuff like that, and then I need that to be unique. All right, so here under self.slug, I'm gonna say slugify the title and the unique ID, because you could potentially have two exact titles, which is likely, especially if your application becomes big, but then they're not going to have the same unique ID because we've specified it must be unique over there. Right. Then this is just a normal overriding of the save, to make sure that there's always a date created added, and there's always a unique ID added, so you don't have to specify it when you fill in the form. And there's always a last updated. So every time somebody saves, it means they are updating this class, and then the last updated date will change every time. And you can always see when was the last time somebody worked on something. This is just something useful for me for management, and I do this like in all of my classes, so I can sort of, later on when I'm doing my analytics, I can check, okay, when are people really using the app? Are they updating the model, the blogs, or did they write a blog once and never came back to it? Stuff like that. Then we're going to need to, actually, I'm just going to copy this, and we need to create the blog section class. So this will be blog section. All right. And then let me just make sure that I have the same thing over here, because otherwise I'm going to forget to do it, and then I'll get an error when I'm running migrations. So this is this or let me go back to my notes over there. So this is that blog section model. This blog section will definitely have a related foreign key to the blog. All right. So the blog section has every blog section. When it's created, you have to assign which blog it belongs to. Okay. So this will be blog, and this will be blog over there. Okay. We don't have keywords for the sections. We're not going to have word count for the sections either, but what we're going to have is a field called the body. All right, so this will be like the content, and we're just going to have text field. So let me just search for Django text field. We want a text field. So a text field is sort of like the text area inside of a thing. So that's the one that we want. Okay, so text field. So I'm just gonna have that body is equals to models dot text field. All right, and then I just want to make it like, okay, it can be nullable, it can be blank. Okay, that's okay, which means that when the person creates a blog section for the first time, they don't have to define the body. They can just create a section and define the title. All right. In fact, the title must not be nullable. All right. This will force you to create a title every time you create a section. And I wouldn't imagine a scenario where you would want to create a section without a title. And I think the same for the blog. Okay. So let's remove this now and blank over here. Because when you create a blog, why would you create a blog and not give it a title? You would want to give it a title, but it does not have to be unique. And when you create a blog section as well, you are literally you need to have the title as well, but you don't have to define the body. You could create a title and then it could be empty. The body could be empty. Then over time, as the person starts to complete the information, like over here, when they create the sections, we can immediately take those titles, subtitles, and create the blog section without a body. And then when they get here, then they can start filling in parts of the body when they're starting to build up their blog. All right. And then the profile is definitely a must, even though there's a related field to the blog, and technically you don't really have to define the profile again in the blog section. Okay. I like to do it anyway. Actually, this is not necessary. I'm going to remove it. All right, it's not necessary because you can always get it via blog section.blog.profile. All right, so you don't have to define it because you've already defined it over there, but you have to define the blog. All right, and then once you've done that, over here the title and the unique ID, that's okay because it's the same title. So the string, danda string can be title, unique ID, that's all right. Then the rest of it remains the same. And then I just need to make sure that this blog section is included inside of my admin like that. All right, so I'm just gonna copy that in here, and then I've got my models ready to go. Okay, so now I can just like work backwards. Work from the OpenAI stuff and start creating the block sections and stuff. And so what I'm going to do is, let me just stop running this one and clear. So this is my server that's running inside of my virtual private machine, right, on DigitalOcean. This is my personal computer where I'm working from, and every time I make the changes, they are saved over here, and then I need to push them to where they are being run, because I'm not running the models from my own personal computer. Otherwise I would have too many things running on my personal computer, and my personal computer is not big enough. So let's do that quickly. Let's git add. And this commit is, we just added the blog classes, right? And then let's push right, so I'm using a password, which is a bad idea, but I think we did it this way at the beginning because we wanted to not go through the whole section of setting up SSH. It would have taken us another extra video to do that. So hopefully you have gone and watched my video that I've created about SSH, and you're using SSH, not your password. Okay, then so this is running here. So what I need to do is to run migration. Okay, so let's just like hope there's no errors. What migrations do is that they just sort of add all of this into the database, the new classes that you've created, so that they create the object mapping with a database for you, and that you don't have to do that manually yourself, right? So it does that, and then you can migrate. So then you only deal with the models without having to worry about dealing with making actual SQL queries and stuff like that. Okay, cool. So I don't have any errors. It means my models and my models are good to go. What I will do now is, let's get the OpenAI set up, all right? So I'm going to leave this in the notes. I'm going to leave this here. Let's get the OpenAI set up. So I've already created an OpenAI account, okay? So I'm just going to show you quickly how to create your own, all right? So you're going to go here under API. So I'll put the description here in the video that we're watching right now. You basically go under API there, and then you're going to go into get started. And then when you click get started, it will take you to a page where you can create an account. All right. So I'm going to sign in with Google because I'm going to use one of my old accounts. You could do that as well. All right. So you could pick sign in with Google. And then I'm going to pick this one. And I know my credits are finished on this account anyway. And then when you get here under personal, you can have a look at manage account. And then manage account will show you how many credits you get. So technically, when you get started, if you're creating an account for the first time, you will have $18 free credits to use, and I think they give you 2 months to use those $18, and that is more than sufficient for you to learn and work with. I mean, if I give you an example, I use this so much. I write all my blogs using OpenAI directly, and maybe I use up $5 worth of credit in a month, literally. So this is, you can, $18 will take you like 3 months. But you have 2 months to use it. After that, it does expire, and then you have to pay for the membership. So you have to go under, where is it? Billing. Is it here? It would be billing. It would be here, and then you would go and pay for it, okay? But I'm not going to do this because I've got a different account which I pay for. So I'm not going to pay for this one. But when you create your account, you'll be able to come here and, you know, pay for, you know, to get extra credit. I'm just trying to see, where would you do that? Personal, just pricing. There you go. Maybe you'd go under pricing, and then you would, not really, it's not under pricing. But it doesn't matter. Just look for it. I'm not going to show you now. But if you're creating this for the, oh, there it is, upgrade. Right. So just click that upgrade button, and then you'll be able to upgrade into a paid service. But then they'll ask for like some credit cards. Of course, you have to pay for it. But like I said, I pay like not more than $5 for this. And I write a lot of blogs. I write like 2 to 3 blogs. I use it on my Twitter. I use it everywhere. So, and I don't pay more than $5 a month. Anyway, once you're in here, you need to go into view API keys, right? So I'm just going to click over there, and it will take you to view API keys. And then you'll see over here, you've got a secret key that you can reveal or copy. All right. So all you need to do, all I need you to do is to copy this API key, like copy it, right? And then just go into the settings.py file. And then somewhere here, maybe after the login URL, right? Just type in there, OpenAI API keys, like that. You can call it anything you want, but maybe call it that so that we can all be aligned. Okay. So I'm going to say OpenAI. I'm going to call it OpenAI underscore API underscore keys, right? And then I'm going to say, you put it inside of, you know, strings, make it a string, and then paste that API key there. All right. I'm showing you this one because this account is expired. I'm going to use a different account, right, with a valid one. But that's what you need to do. All right. So go in here and say open API keys, and then paste it. So you're going to create an account. You're going to go into your account. You're going to go into view API keys. You're going to get there and then click copy there. And then inside of your settings.py, just say OpenAI API keys and paste it in there. All right. And then once you've done that, you can save this, and then you can close that. Right. And then we're going to go now into the playground. Okay. But like I said, I'm not going to use this account. So I'm going to log out of this account. I'm going to use my other account. And then I'm going to use this other account instead, which has got a valid key that I pay for. And then, so I'm going to log in with that. So now, remember where we started, view API keys. Okay, I'm not going to go there now for now. Once you've copied and pasted your API keys there, like I showed you, then you need to go to here where it says playground at the top, right? Playground. Click playground. So when you get to playground, they've really done a lot to improve this. Hey, so nowadays you can you have different modes. Okay, you got like the complete mode, you've got the insert mode, and you've got like the edit mode or whatever, right? But for now, we're gonna work on the complete mode. All right, I think it will be sufficient for what we need. And then over here, you've got the different engines, the different OpenAI engines. So this is a little bit more technical than using something like Copy AI, because they sort of just decide the engines for you, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 main engines, and they've improved these engines quite significantly in the last 12 months. They really do a great job. I honestly think they are the best in the market. But you have to understand what the models are good for, right? So Text DaVinci 002 is the most sort of advanced, the most trained model with respect to its ability to complete information based on like whatever you give it, right? TextQuery also does pretty much what DaVinci does, but TextQuery does it a little bit faster, and it is just less, less capable than DaVinci. But the difference between these two is that then TextQuery ends up being, cheaper, like orders of magnitude cheaper. And I'll show you what I mean by now. So if you go there under your account and okay, so I can't see that anymore. pricing. Okay, let me go to pricing. If you go under your account and you go to pricing, you'll see there, you've got all these different models. You've got your ADA, your Babbage, your Curie, and DaVinci. And they do tell you it is the most powerful. But you can see the price for DaVinci is like 0.06 per 1,000 tokens, right? And Curie is like a tenth of that. It's an order of magnitude way cheaper. All right. So sometimes, depending on how much your budget is, Curie sometimes does a pretty decent job, especially with blog writing, especially with expanding blog sections. So sometimes I will use DaVinci for creating the titles and the sections, and then I'll use Curie for expanding, because expanding uses more tokens, but at the same time, Curie does also a decent job for expanding. And maybe sometimes I change it over now because I use Playground a lot to generate my content, and then I can pick the model directly. But we're not going to give our users that option. We're going to decide for our users what model we're using, and that's that. Okay, because it's going to be too complicated for users to figure all of these things out. And then we don't want to start also having variable pricing on our side based on what model a user has used. Okay, we're going to simplify this, and we're going to pick one model for everything. And so forth. Then you see this Babbage is even cheaper, and ADA is the cheapest. But Babbage and ADA are not great for generating a blog content. They're good really for other things like classifications, because there's a lot you can do with OpenAI API, not just content generation. Content generation is just one of the things you can do. You can do chatbots, you can do you can do a lot of things. You can do classification, actually use it a lot with classification. You can actually use it as well for you can train it to be a nice good chatbot on your website to sort of give people answers based on your documentation, because you can add your documentation into the AI and train it on your documentation, and then it can sort of answer questions based on your documentation. You can do a lot with OpenAI, but today we're going to focus on text generation, and we're going to work only between DaVinci and Curie. So once you've done that, so this is what the different models mean. But obviously, if you hover over it, you will see some sort of strengths. It will tell you there what it's really good at. Okay, so DaVinci is really good for complex intent, cause and effect, creative generation. So generation, DaVinci is best in that. Okay, Curie is really good for translation, so you can translate in different languages, complex classification, sentiment, and summarization. A Babbage is great for classification and search, and then ADA is great for classification, address correction, and keywords, right? So Babbage is great for classification, but Text Curie and DaVinci are the ones that can manage complex text generation. Okay, so for that, so with that, I think that's sufficient. So by now, you followed along, you've created your account, you've got your API key. All right, we can actually get started with writing some OpenAI code. All right, so I'm going to then I'm going to create like a different file inside of my so I'm going to close these models. Okay, leave it open. Actually, I'm going to close the admin, and then I'm going to leave the dashboard HTML So remember we said the blog assistant will be get started. So yeah, let me just say generate a blog. Generate a blog. All right, we'll get to the HTML later. But nonetheless, let's go into our dashboard. This is where all our views are. So if you click dashboard views, you will see, let me just push this a little bit this side. Push this back. You will see this is our views. All right, so we're gonna have to create a new view for when somebody clicks that, but we'll get to that later. All right, so let me just put a dot there so that this doesn't close, and then I'm gonna create a new function in here, a new file in here, and I'm gonna call it functions. Okay, I'm gonna call it functions.py, and I'm gonna use this file to run my functions, so that I don't write the code for that inside of my views. Okay, so I'm gonna call this functions.py, and then over here I'm gonna install OpenAI and then import it and all of those things. Okay, so I want to show you in the documentation where it is. All right, so let me try and see openai.com. Let me try and find API docs documentation. And inside of documentation, I want to see quick start tutorial, and I want to see quick start, let's see, libraries. Okay, so you'll see Python is really like the main one, all right, but you get Node.js and some other stuff as well. Okay, so we're going to be working with Python. Luckily, because we're working with Django perfection, we can just work with Python. So the first thing you need to do is to install the OpenAI library inside of Python. So we're going to have to do this obviously inside of our virtual machine. So this is our personal computer. This is our virtual machine. So inside our virtual machine with the virtual environment on, you just need to run that command pip install OpenAI, and it's going to go and download OpenAI for you. All right. And then inside of where we are writing, you see they've got like code examples there. All right. So I'm just going to copy, all of this. I'm just going to copy it as it is there. And I'm going to put it inside of my functions file. All right. So we're going to import operating system. We're going to import OpenAI. And then we're going to say OpenAI key. And then we're going to get the OpenAI key. But we're not going to do it that way here, because we actually, saved it something different in the thing. So let me look at my views and my models. I need to import settings. Let me try and see that. All right, let's see if this is the one. From Django config, import settings. So let's try that. All right, so we're going to have it inside of our functions. We're going to say import settings, and then remember inside of our settings file, we called this settings a dot. We called it OpenAI API key. Is that what we called it? Let's just double check. So inside of our settings file, just go down and see what we called it. We just need to make sure we use the same name so that we don't OpenAI API keys. Okay, so let's just we've copied that. Let's put that in there. It's OpenAI API keys. Okay, so then we can then use the key to do that. Okay, so for completion, so I'm not even gonna use this. I'm gonna create my own settings or variables inside of the playground. So let's say we want to generate blog topic ideas. All right, so we're going to say generate blog topic ideas on the generate blog topic ideas on the following topic, and then we're going to enter the topic there, and then we're going to say the keywords are, so let's see what we want to generate a topic idea on. Let's say best AI content tools. All right, and then keywords, I want my keywords to be AI, OpenAI, AI content tools, AI generators, GPT-3. You can think about what all the keywords you would want. Generally when somebody wants to generate a blog topic, they'll have their keywords already figured out. Okay, so I'm just like sort of randomly picking these ones because I need to put something in there, but in reality you will know what keywords you want at this stage. And then I'm going to make sure I've got my DaVinci picked. I like a temperature of, I know they're reducing it a lot now to 0.7, but I like working with 0.8, and then make this 300 length, and then let's run this. Okay, and you see it's generated 5, and it always gives you 5 by the way, unless if you wanted more, you could say generate, 7 blog topic ideas, right? And if you did that, it will actually generate 7 for you. All right, so you can tell it how many you want it to generate, or you could just like leave it and then it will generate 5. Okay, and I think 5 is okay, so I'm gonna leave that as 5. All right, and then I'm going to run this again, and just because I don't know why you'd want more than, it's done 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. Okay, it's fine, doesn't matter. Once I've done that, I want to then I want to see the code that was used to generate this. So I'll say view code, and then when you view code here, you can view different versions. You can see the curl version. If you wanted to do this exact command on curl, this is how it would look like. If you wanted to do this exact command on node, this is what it would look like. If you wanted to do this exact command with JSON, this is what it would look like. But I want to do it with Python because I'm writing this code in Python. And you can see here's your Python key. And it gives you pretty much everything. It gives you everything from importing and doing all of that and getting the env. But what I'm interested in is this response here. Okay. So I'm going to copy that response, and then I'm going to just like paste it like there. And then you'll see it's an OpenAI completion create, and the prompt is this generate blog topic ideas on the following topic, and then the keywords GPT-3, and then it's doing that. So what I want to remove everything up to there and up to GPT-3. Maybe I can leave one new line, right, like that. I can leave one new line. Right, and then once I've done that, so I'm not, otherwise I'll be prompting the very same content that was generated this time, which I don't want. I want just the instruction that I'm giving to the OpenAI. Okay, so the instruction that I'm giving to the OpenAI is generate blog topic ideas on the following topic, base AI content tools, and the keywords, so forth. And then the temperature max tokens, you can see you can still change this in here manually. From 0.8 you can make it 0.7. This one you can make it 250. It's up to you. Again, you can go back to 250 there and do it like that. And then you can leave, I'll leave all of these other ones as they are. Okay, and then you can see the response there. What I like to do here is now then put this inside of a function. So I'm just going to cut that, and I'm going to put it inside of a function where I call generate blog topic ideas. And then I'm going to enter some arguments in there, and then I can put my response in there, and I can actually then say this function returns the response. I hope this is the right indent. Return the response. All right, for now, let's see what response we are getting. But what I would want to do is I would want to feed the topic in here, right? So instead of doing that, I'm going to just remove this, all right, and feed the topic in there, all right, and then say format topic, and then format keywords, right? And then what I'm going to do is I want to take the keywords out as well. And I'm going to say topic keywords, right? So that the person that's calling this function can enter the keywords, all right? Can enter the keywords in there, right? Just put some space there. So the person calling this function can enter actually I don't need space there, don't put any space. Otherwise it'll read the wrong thing. Okay, so the person calling this function will have to give it a topic and keywords, and then we can see what gets returned over here. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run this function manually. I'm going to run it manually to see what I'm getting now, or running it myself. And then after I've done that, then we can then obviously try and call it inside of the Django function, inside of the view. So we're going to try and create a different view for that HTML page, which we're going to create, where somebody requests this, and then we call the function from there. But obviously I like to always test my function because I also want to see what this response looks like, because in the documentation they don't tell you what the response will look like. So we obviously want to see what the response looks like so we can decide how to parse the response properly to get what we want out of the response. And we can also figure out how to test that we got a good response so that we don't get errors inside of our function. So we're going to save all of this. Cool. So we've saved all of this. You can see the colors are gone. We have pushed the changes to our VPS. We are now in the virtual server. We're going to run this function from the virtual server. And what we need to do to run it from the virtual server is we need to run it inside of the Django shell. So if you just do Python like this, for example, you see if you do Python, you still get a Python shell. But if you try and import settings inside of a Python shell like that, you will get an, actually it does import it, all right? But you won't be able to, let's see, oh, can we do that? Let's then try and say, oh yeah, let's run. Let's say because normally some of this Django, like the models, definitely, I know you can't access it from a normal shell. You have to run it in a Django shell. But I think this you can access in a normal shell. Let me just try this. Let me say from what this is dashboard. So this package is dashboard. So from dashboard dot what we need the functions. Import, let's just import all the functions in there. Exactly. You actually can't access the settings OpenAI keys because you need to run this inside of a Django shell. So I'm going to exit this and then I'm going to clear it. And then I'm going to say to run a Django shell, it runs the Python shell inside of the Django context so that you can access the Django settings and models and other things like that. So we do Python manage.py shell. It looks the same, but it's different. Suddenly, when you when you run that thing, that last command, which was from a dashboard, from the dashboard, what was the command? From a dashboard, functions, import everything. All right. From dashboard dot functions, import everything. So to import all these functions, including this function which I just created now. So I'm going to create a topic. I'm going to create a topic and I'm going to call this topic, what do you want to write about? The best AI tools of 2022. And keywords, I'm going to say keywords is AI content generation, generate content. AI generator, generate AI content generation. Maybe OpenAI. It doesn't really pay so much attention to the keywords anyway. I think there's a setting in the background that just sort of ignores the keywords. But in some cases it does, but most of the times it just. So what I want to do is run this function and I want to see the response that it's going to return, okay? So the response is equals to running this function with the topic and the keywords. So it's going to take a while to generate the response. OpenAI takes a bit of time, hey? But it's done. And let's look at the response, okay? So this is our response over here. You'll see it's an OpenAI object over there, and then the JSON. So we need to like say we need to say response.json. All right. So that we can say get the JSON part of it. And then we get, let's see, let's just take this whole JSON that gets delivered here. Let's copy it and let's paste it over here so we can have a look at what it looks like. All right. So it's an object, and inside that object you have choices. Okay. So let's say, let me just say this is a res. All right. and then res. So let's call this is equals to response.json. But before you can say equals to response.json, you have to check if choices is there, because I think if there's an error, you don't get these choices, you get a different type of response. So if there's an error, you're going to have to catch that. So you're going to say if choices if choices in response JSON, right? Then your response is equals to response.json. Otherwise, your response will be, I don't know, none. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what response we would send if we don't get anything. Then inside of the response.json, you'll have a look at the response.json dot choices. All right, so you'll have a look at the choices, and then you look at the choices at 0, because we asked for one response. I think you can ask for multiple responses. So inside of when you're doing it in Playground there, I think there is a part where you can say the best of one or the best of two. Let me see, generate multiple completion. So let me see if I put 2 there. All right, and then I run this with 2. What happens? Nothing really. But if I look at the code, best of 2. All right, I suppose you can't really have best of 2 with respect to, you know, whatever. So we'll test this later, maybe when we're doing the block sections and stuff like that. So let's leave it for now with best of 1, but let's put it in here anyway. Let's look at the code. Let's see that option best of, and include it in here, even if we leave it as a best of 1. Even if we leave it as best of 1, then later on we'll be able to change those kind of, you know, things later. There's a lot of other things, show probabilities. All right, no, that's fine. We're not classifying. All right, so we'll say responses or JSON choices at 0, because there's just one choice that we've been given. And there's just one choice. So maybe there would be multiple choices in here, hey? So maybe there would be like choice number 1, there'd be choice number 2, number 3, and so forth. And then you can see the time it was created, the ID, the model that was used was DaVinci, and the object was test completion. This is not important for me to view right now, because I know I selected DaVinci. I know I'm using text completion because I'm using completion there, and I know I selected DaVinci. Anyway, I don't care about the timestamp, so I'm going to pretty much ignore the rest of this. I'm interested in choices at 0, and I'm interested in choices at 0, the text response. Okay, so choices at 0, I'm interested in the text that that gets across, that gets sent in there. So this is the best AI tools, the best tools for text generation, wada wada wada. And what I want to do is, yeah, so let's do it like that, and let's rerun this. All right, let's rerun this and see what we get when we rerun this. Okay, so I'm gonna exit out of here. I would have to recall this again and push the changes first. Coolio, let's then run the shell. Let's then run from dashboard, functions, import everything. We can pick a different topic this time, so we can pick a different topic. So we can say the topic is, I don't know, what to wear this summer. All right, keywords, summer, clothing, fashion, I don't know, something like that. Then let us run the response. So I'm going to say response is equals to that and wait for it. So what you need to do is remove that response.json. You actually don't need to do that at all because that is what the response is. And then it should work, but I'm just thinking now, let's also catch another potential exception. If I'm just gonna leave it as X is like that, I will write it later, and then we're gonna paste that, and else the response is equals to none. So another thing that could happen is that this response choices, it could return like the no response, like it could just, there could still be the choices, but the array could be an empty array. So over here we just want to check that this response to choices array it has got something in it. So we're going to look at the length of it, the length of the responses choices. We're going to just check that that length is greater than 0. That makes sure that there is something in there. And if there's something in there, we know the text will be there. We don't have to check again if text exists, because if the response is greater than 0, we know there will be a text. And over here, we'll check that choices is there. And I think that should cover it. Okay, so let's run this. Coolio, let's run the shell again. Let's import from dashboard functions, import all the functions. Let's see what we need to define there, the topic and the keywords. Let's go back to our keywords of the best fashion trends of the summer. Let's pick keywords in here. Let's see, fashion, summer, clothes, whatever, and then once we've done that, then let's run our function there that generate and see what we get from it. Takes a while as usual. There you go. They gave us 9 topics this time. You can see the best fashion trends of the summer, what to do, what to stay cool, stylish. These are great stuff. Okay, so we are good to go. We know we're getting our text properly, and then we can display this back to the thing. And what I'd like to, you see now over here, right? There's a new line, because I also want to see, like when I'm displaying this to the user, I want to make sure that I will get the same thing every time. So what I'm thinking is I should rather like give it like a, like for example over here, you see when you're generating topic ideas and then you start with like a minus, right? You're sort of prompting it to say, use a minus as a separator, right? And everything will come in with a minus separator, and you'll be able to like maybe use it later on to parse your text so that you can separate the different blog topic ideas. If you left it like that, it can send you numbers. It can send you numbers and brackets. It can send you anything it wants to send. If you want to sort of limit how you want it to come across, I think let's use the numbers, right? So if you look at the code now, at the bottom here, we're gonna stop with a new line minus like that. Okay, so over here there's a new line, but let's create it anyway. We're gonna create a new line, and then there's gonna be a minus. What this will do is that it'll force this thing to have minuses, and then we can use the minuses to sort of parse the text, because you can see everything comes in one long paragraph. You see, everything is one long paragraph. Then we can use the minuses to, but then that's not great. That's not nice either. Let me see, something like a star, right? Let's say I use something like a star, so that it can sort of use a star to pass the different, you know, because what I want is I want something that's very unique. Because a minus, you could have a minus in there, and then you could have a minus in here. I want a unique character that I know will not be in the rest of the text, that I will use to pass the text, so that I can be able to know where does the first topic start, where does the first topic end, so that I can separate the different topics and see how many topics was generated and show them, right? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to write in here, and I'm going to say block topics. You see, you're playing around with what you're getting out of the OpenAI to find the best way to be able to write code that will work every time. Because now you're getting ones, you're getting twos, sometimes you get dots, sometimes you get minuses. You won't know how to pass the content when you're looking at it. And yes, you could pass it with a new line, I suppose. We could pass it with a new line as well, hey? But if we pass it with a new line, then we have to include the one in there, and we don't know what this one is. Next time it will be a one, the other time it will be a minus, and we won't know what sort of they've used, and we won't know how to remove it, because when I go to the next section and I want to give the person the topics, I don't want to include the numbers as well. So I think I want to be in control of how it numbers the things, and I don't want to use a minus, because you could have minus in the topic. So let me use a star. Let me see if a star would work, right? So the block topics will be an empty array. So then over here, I'll define a topic and keywords. So I'm going to stick to the summer ideas, right? I'm going to say the topic is, you know, summer fashion ideas, all right? And then the keywords will be summer fashion, you know, clothes, whatever. And then what I want to say is I want the new line, the start, to be the separator, which means that when I now call this function, so let me call this function here and call it response. I'm calling that function with the response, okay? And then I want to now separate, you know, like I want to now, because I know there'll be a star here, you know, and the star will be the first thing. So I want to then separate, will there be a new line? Let's see. There will be a new line. Okay, it doesn't matter. The new lines don't matter. We can actually get rid of the new lines. So we can say, we can take this and replace all the new lines. Okay, so the new lines is that dash new lines. Replace that with an empty string. So we remove all the new lines from the text. And then what I want is to focus on the stars and split everything on the stars. Okay, so I want to say that the blog list will be equals to this response. Okay, split this response on the star, right? So that the first star, there'll be nothing there, and then it will sort of like split it. And then now I'll have an array, and then I'll just sort of like say for blog in a B list. For blog in B list, let's go into the blog topics. All right, for blog in B list, let's go into the blog topics dot append the blog. All right, then once we've done that, then we want to then say print, yeah, append the blog, and then I want to then print at the same time. I want to, actually, I don't want to print that. I want to print, yeah, let me print that. Let me print the blog. Okay, so let me print everything that gets added. Let me also print a new line so that I can see the separation. All right, so let me print a new line there and print a block. So what will happen here, this will just, it will create the list for me, but I'll be able to see how it separated this, and then I'll be able to see all the different, and I'll make sure that my star separator works. All right, so let's try that. Actually, we can try it even here, hey? We can like come here and do that, create a new line and put in the star, right? And check if it would work here or would it give an error. You see? So it then uses the star separator to create your blog topic. So technically it should work. This should work. All right, git add. Coolio. So all I need to do here is to from dash board.functions import everything. In fact, when I import everything there, it's just gonna run this whole thing, right? Of course. So let me Python manage.py shell. I have to run this in the shell. And then what I want to do is run those functions. There you go. It created the topics nicely, 10 summer trends, 5 easy summer fashion tips, perfection. That's exactly what I want to see, all right? So we're sort of like working around. What we're doing now is we're trying to figure out what's the best way to parse the responses and things like that, because we're going to write this in a function which must work the same every time. We don't want the next time it brings numbers, the next time it brings minuses, the next time it brings numbers with brackets, and then our code must sort of try and figure out what it used every time. We're going to tell it what we want it to use. And we're sort of finding ways to parse this. So now we can put in a topic, we can put in keywords, and we can get a response. So I think that's all we need for now to start developing the first part of our application. And I think the second part will be pretty much the same, because once you have a blog topic and you want blog sections, we're actually just going to like replace the wording of the instruction, and it will be, you know, the same thing. So what we can even do here is we can even write the function now, okay? So what I'm going to do is remove that, and I'm going to I'm just going to copy this function, okay, and I'm going to paste this function here. I'm going to remove this block topics, we don't need that anymore, but I must not forget to do something about this here, else it will error out. So let me highlight that. So the next function that we'll have is generate blog section, okay, generate blog section headings. So this is once you have a blog topic and then you want to generate section headings, and let's try and figure out how we'd want to do that here, okay. We will keep the keywords, and over here we'll say generate blog section headings, okay, based on the following blog section topic. So generate block section headings and section titles based on the following block section topic. And then over here, we'll then define what the topic is and then the keywords, and then we'll start as usual with our star. Okay, so the topic will be, can you pick a topic here? Oh no. Let me, what is one of the subtopics I had there? Hey, the top 10 fashion trends of 2022. You know, how to look your best in 2022. Let's say that was a topic you decided on. You've got your keywords. You want to generate block section headings based on that block section topic. And I think over here we can give it a little bit more leeway, 400. All right. And then let's submit that. There you go. Then if I go into the code, what I want is this code, view code. I want to get the prompt here. I want to get up all the way up to there. I just want to replace the prompt. That's all I'm going to change. So if I come over here and I want to do the block section headings, make sure I put in the comma, don't forget that. I'm just going to copy the prompt. So the prompt is generate block section headings and section titles based on the following block section topic. That's the topic. And then that is the keywords. All right. So I can continue. I can do the same thing and format title and keywords. Right. Topic. Format topic. And keywords, format topic and keywords. Okay, so here where the topic is, all the way over there, we'll put in the topic there, and here where the keywords are, all the way up to there, from here up to there. Okay, we'll put in the keywords. So those are the keywords and the topic, and then everything else pretty much remains the same. I don't know if I should leave the temperature at 0.7, but we can. And then we should be able to generate block section headings now based on a topic. So we'll create a topic and then we can generate headings. And then over here, it's just a way to split and do all of that. All right. So now we can start writing our HTML. So we need a page. We need a page that when somebody clicks on block topic, whatever, I've changed this title already. When they click on this, it takes them to a page where, oh no, we're very excited to take you through your blog generation. You know, start by entering a topic. All right, so it's going to be an HTML, which we're going to call, let's go into the templates. It's going to be a dashboard template. Okay, and we're going to call it blog topic. Let's call it blog topic. All right, .html. And then this blog topic.html looks very similar to the home.html. You reach the dashboard page, so it looks very similar to this. So you can actually copy that and put it in there. But instead of just saying, hey, you've reached the dashboard page, we need to, yeah, let's like have some nice, interesting stuff in here. So how would we want to design this page to look really nice? All right, I'm thinking maybe a nice little illustration here or to the left, and maybe another, let's see, like an illustration here and a, do we need an illustration just to give some color? Yeah, let's find like a nice illustration. So let's go to our Envato place where we get our illustration from, illustrations from. Let's have a look here if we can find something nice. Otherwise, what is that other website that I told you that we can get illustrations from? I think that will be quicker. Let's find let's where is it? Undraw. I think it's called Undraw. Illustrations, I think those are the ones. Yep. And then let's pick a color. What color do we have here? For Karabo, I think maybe, I don't know. We can pick any color. It doesn't matter. So I'm gonna leave the color to you. I'm gonna start with the, you know, the blank one. So let's actually like take this first illustration. I like this one. You can download PNG or you can download SVG. Let's see the SVG. That's okay. Our static, we're gonna go into the admin part of the static and the IMG, and then I'm gonna just add this SVG in here. Okay, so it's this Undraw Learning SVG. I'm gonna add it in there, but I'm gonna obviously call it something else, and I'm gonna call it create a blog.svg. All right, so inside of IMG, it's inside of the, is this the admin? Landing, main. Let me see, I mean, okay, it's fine. That's okay. So we're gonna then create a div row in here. We're gonna create a div column LG1. Let's create some column ones so that it gives a sort of space on the side. I know it makes no sense to do it like that, but let me just do what's coming to my mind. It's coming to my mind. We're gonna have column LG 10, because then that's 11, 12, like that. And then inside of here, we're gonna have another row, another div row, and then in here we're gonna have div column LG6. Then we'll do another div column LG6. And then we will like sort of, in the first column, we will then show that image. All right, so we'll have like a an IMG in there. And yeah, we'll say create a blog. Create a blog. And the source for this will be, you know, static. And I think it's what was it? It's static. Instead of static, we go to admin. So instead of static, we start with admin, we go into IMG. So it's admin IMG and create a blog.svg. Create blog.svg in there. So it will show that image. And then the next thing that it will show over here is where I'll put in my form. Okay, so I want to have like a form in here. Not a field set, a form. Form, and inside of this form, we're just going to leave the action empty. I think we need the CSRF token, right? CSRF token. And then inside of the form, we're going to have, let's have a look at how we did our profile form. All right, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. So have a look at our profile page. We have a form in here. Oh no, this was not a manual form. This was a crispy form. So let's look at authorization. I think the login form was a manual one. There you go. So we've got a CSRF token. Let's just make sure I got that CSRF token. Okay. And it should be no spelling errors there. And then we've got the div and the label and the input. Yeah, that's what I want to see. All right. So all I'm going to say, I need 2 of this text inputs, right? So I'm going to paste these in here. Div, the label is blog topic. All right, and then the type is type text. The class is form control, yes. I don't need an ID actually, but I do need a name. All right. And then the placeholder as well, required definitely. So we'll leave the placeholder and we will leave the required and then close it up. So this will be blog topic. It will not for email. So we won't call this email. We'll call this blog topic, and then this will be for blog topic, of course. So they must enter a blog topic ideas, okay, and then the sort of the placeholder will be enter the blog idea. Actually, let's call it blog idea, not blog topic. So let's call this blog idea. All right, and then after that we're going to say blog idea there as well, and then it's a text and it's a required field, right? And then after they've done that, it's okay to leave margin bottom 3. Let's do now another section where we call this keywords, where they can give us the keywords as well. And it's a text, it's form control, and it's keywords here. Keywords. So we'll just copy those keywords there and paste them in here as well. And the prompt, the placeholder here can be what keywords should we use for the blog topics, right? Enter the keywords, enter the blog topic keywords, enter the blog keywords. Right, so then over here, before we start with the form as well, so the form starts here on column LG6. And I think over here, I just want to give it a margin top as well. Or actually, no, let me not give it a margin top and just have like maybe a heading 2, which will have a margin bottom, okay? It will have a margin bottom 3 as well. And this heading 2, we can just say, enter your blog idea below to generate blog topic suggestions. All right, so once we've done that, what we're going to do then, we're going to like sort of we're going to have a form submit button. So let's see how we did it here. It's just a class MB3 with a button. All right, so let's go to the inside of the form there. Before the closing tag of the form, we can use the same primary button, and we can call this generate blog topic ideas. And what I want to do when that happens is I want to then route this person to a different page where we're going to show their blog topic ideas for them that they've generated. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. So let's see what this looks like now. So this HTML is blog topic HTML. Let's create a view function for it. All right, actually, before we create a view function for it, let's create a URL for it. Okay, so this is profile. So let's say the blog generation roots. Okay, we're just gonna copy one of these roots that looks exactly, and then we can like sort of edit a couple of things. So let's call this blog topics. And then I know the sort of the HTML is a blog topic.html. So I can call this blog topic as well. And maybe we can call that as well. But we can call it maybe generate in front. Yeah, so generate blog topic, and we call this blog topic. Let's leave the S out. And then so we need to then generate a view function for this. All right, so we're going to call that. It takes in a request object. All right, after it takes in a request object, what we need to do is to then enter this context, And let's click enter there. Let's define the context. All right, let's define the context. For now, we'll leave it blank. And then it is inside of the dashboard folder, but it is called a blog topic. The file, the HTML file is called blog topic. And then now when somebody, how does somebody route to this URL? They will route to this URL from the main, the main page over there. So dashboard, let's see, from the layout, the dashboard layout here where we had generate blog. So generated blog, so when somebody clicks on this generated blog, it will then take them to that URL. Okay, so this URL will be the blog topic. So it will start with the blog topic. We'll take them through the route. So once they submit a blog topic, we'll then figure out what the other things are. So they'll submit a blog topic, and then we will then get to the next stage and do the next part. So let's have a look for now what the form looks like. There's nothing we've wired inside of the views. So we'll just view the form and what the form looks like, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to run the server. Okay. Right, and we're going to go back to our dashboard and restart this. This time we should see this will be different. The menu will now say generate blog, and you'll see a URL for that. If you click generate blog, it will take us to this page, but this is huge, eh? But at least you can see, enter your blog idea below. All right, bluff, not bluff idea. Enter your blog idea below. Enter your blog idea below to generate blog topic suggestions, and then there's an idea that you can enter and some keywords. All right, so this is just like filled up the whole page. So I just need to like bootstrap. What I'm looking for is bootstrap fluid image. Yeah, fluid image. Images bootstrap. Let's see. I need the image to like. I'm looking for the class. Okay, so there will be a class that I must add in there that says image fluid, right? So maybe let's try that for the image and see if that will help. Make the image a little bit smaller. Coolio. Now we can restart this server. We're going to restart this server, and then let's have a look at our page again. There you go. That's much better. So the image now fills that space, and over here you can generate blog topic ideas. You can get the idea and the keywords, and then enter the keywords, and you can click here. Hopefully it will take us to another page. So what we'll do is that we'll create another page, and on the other page is where we will now display your ideas, and then we'll say pick the idea that you like to continue with, and then from there we then take it to another page, and we go step by step until the person reaches the end. So now, so what do we call this? We will call this keywords, and we call this. So we need to like inside of the view over here. Inside of the view, we need to say if request dot a method is equals to post, right? We need to get the blog idea is equals to and then we need to get the keywords is equals to, right? So the blog idea will be equals to request dot post, And if I look at my functions, it will be request.post.that. Okay. And that's required, but this is not required actually. So let's put it in here and say request.post.that, and then the keywords will be request.post.keywords. Okay, so over here this will be a request.post.keywords, and then what I want to do now is then enter all of this information into my functions. So you see we wrote those functions inside of this functions file. What we can do is that we can just block section ID, block topic ideas. We can like bring this function in here inside of the views. So what we can do inside of the views here, we can say from.functions import everything, right? And then when we import everything over here, we can then say that the ideas, the block topics is equals to that function with a blog idea, which is the title and the keywords that they've given us. Okay, so we'll get block topics here, and then now this block topics will be this response object, right? And then we obviously want to like, this is where this comes in. I want to just be able to like generate a list. Actually, I don't have to generate a list here. Or should we do a list actually? Yeah, let's do that. So let's create this block topics list. All right, in here, in there, and create it in the inside, make it an internal function. And then once we've done that, then we can say, this response over here, instead of returning this response, we want to return the list. Actually, we want to pass this to so response, we know what the response is, so we want to create like a list, a B list. All right, so this B list is maybe let's start with this. A list is equals to, I want that response that comes out, and I want to split on the stars. Okay, so a list is equals to the response split by the stars. Okay, then so once we've split the response by the stars, we can then say for blog in a list. All right, so we can say for blog in a list. All right, if length of a list is greater than 0 for blog in a list. All right, for blog in a list, blog topics. Okay, blog topics dot append, blog topics dot append the blog, right? So that's what we did here. Blog topics append the blog, right? And then I can remove this. So this blog topics, all right, this blog topics is that blog topics over there, right? And then the a list is just a variable we created to split this response on the stars. And then if the length is greater than 0 for blog in a list, we're gonna say create the blog topics and append the blog, and then suddenly we have a list of blog topics. So what we're gonna do here is that now we can return these blog topics, and now we are returning a list. All right, this is now going to be returning a list of blog topics, this function. And we can do the same here, because now this returns a list. Over there we can say return an empty list, so that we can be consistent with what we are returning. In fact, instead of saying response, we can just say return it can return right here if this was a problem. Okay, it can return that list, and we can do the same thing over there. And if the length, we can say else, we can return an empty list. And obviously if it went through here, we would have the block topics because there's no return over there, and it would return the block topics. So when you run this function there inside of the views, the response you're going to get is going to be now a list of block topics. Now when we call when we create a new root, let's create a new root, and we're going to call this block sections. All right, so we're going to call this block sections. Okay, I know the video is getting long now, but I want to at least make one API call today, so we're going to end it after the block topics. But I want to be able to show you generating block topics and taking those block topics to blog sections, right? So block sections. So what I'm going to do here for block sections, for block topics, I'm going to put this inside. I'm going to put this inside of a request.session. Okay. I'm going to put this inside of a request.session. And I'm going to call it block topics is equals to that. So I can store this in the session and I can access it in the next route. Okay. So when we get to the next block section, we're going to say if this block topics in a request.session, all right, if it's there, we can continue, else we can boot the person out of this route, because this route is not going to work if we don't have this in the session. So maybe somebody ended up in this URL by mistake or whatever. We're going to send them back. So let me see, is my messages working? Do I have messages working? So I'm going to send messages. Let's see. Let me get that authorization views. I just want to see messages, yeah, and return. It's just easier for me to copy and paste from here. So if that's a problem, we're going to just send them messages. We're going to say start by creating blog topic suggestion, blog topic ideas. Okay, start by creating blog topic ideas, and we're going to call it an error, and then we're going to route them back to this blog topic page, which they can access, which we can get via this blog topic page. So we can send them back here. So if somebody ended here in this page and they didn't have blog topics in the request.session, we can't proceed. We must reroute them back to the blog topic so they can generate it. And when they get here, obviously the blog topics will be added into the request.session. So provided it's added into the request.session, I'm actually going to go and create my context like that. All right. I'm going to say context is that. And then I'm going to return some HTML, and the HTML that I return is going to be block sections. All right, which I'm going to build this page right now. I haven't built it yet. I'm going to build this page inside of dashboard. It's going to be a new file, which is going to be called block sections. All right, so let's go back here. So that's going to be built, and then inside here we're just going to create the block topics. We're going to add the block topics into the context. Okay, so context block topics is going to be equals to block topics, and then inside of the context there we can display the block topics. Okay, so let's create this HTML. So this blog topic, this one here, I'm actually going to just copy this HTML. We're going to copy this HTML into the block sections. And then over here where there's a form, we're going to get rid of the form. We're going to get rid of the H2 MB3. What we're going to do is that here where there's an image, we're going to swap this image around. Sort of add some, yeah, let's swap this image around. For now, let's use the same image. We'll change it next week. So we're going to swap this image around. We're going to put the image here. We're going to put the H2 on the other side so that, you know, it looks slightly different. Oh, yes, great. We have these. We're going to say we have generated these are possible blog topic ideas for you. We have generated these possible blog topic ideas. Let's put in an emoji in there to add some flavor in there. All right, let's see Emojipedia. Let's see that. I love that dancing woman. That dancing woman, where is she? The dancing woman, because now you're happy. You've generated some blog topics. All right, so let's put in that dancing woman in here. Yay, we have generated these possible blog topic ideas for you, right? And then we're going to show them what we've generated. And by now, we can loop through the list, okay? We can loop through the list, which is now being sent inside of the context. So we can say for blog in, if you look at our views, what is that list we called it? We called it blog topics. So we can say for blog in blog topics, and then remember to do and for, all right? And for, and then over here, how we're gonna do it like a paragraph, or I don't know, like a button, or how we're gonna do this. Let's do like a paragraph, okay? Let's do it. We can change it next week, okay? And then in here we'll just say blog, which is this blog, all right? And yeah, let me put in a break. Cool. So that there's like some spacing or there, and then you can see the blog topics we've generated for you, okay? So when you get here, when you get to this page, so when you go from that page, all right, so this now must reroute to this blog sections, all right? So redirect to blog sections. So this, after this has been done, we must redirect to blog sections. Blog sections. We must redirect to blog sections. And then we obviously have to build this URL because we haven't built it. So I'm just going to copy that in there so that we can copy this, so that because it will look exactly the same. And paste that in there. And blog sections, make sure that we call it blog sections because we're already using it in there. And the view is called blog sections like that. So let's rather copy that instead, so I don't make typos. I'm so terrible with typos, hey? So I've just gotten used to copying and pasting, because the last thing you want is to be troubleshooting, debugging code because you're looking for typos. Okay, blog sections, great. So now what's going to happen is, technically somebody will come in here, they will enter this information into a form. Okay, when they enter this information into a form, you'll see, then they'll submit that form, and then it will go into request.post. If request.post is true, then we'll get the idea and the keywords that they've entered in here into the idea and the keywords, and then we will run this function, generate blog topic ideas, with that blog idea and these keywords, and then we will add the results into the request.session, which should be a list now because we have edited this function to return a list, okay? And we need to make sure that this is not an empty list, hey? So we need to check something in here. So we need to say if the length of the blog topics, like that one, if the length of the blog topics is greater than 0, because we need to make sure that it's not an empty list. Else, maybe we just sort of send them a message that says try again. We couldn't generate any ideas for you. And then we send them back to the blog topic, okay? So if the list was empty, we can say oops, we could not generate any blog ideas for you. And then we send them back to the topic. Please try again. Please try again. And then if the list has got something in it, it will direct them to the blog sections. It's edited into the request session. Then they will end up in here. And then we'll double check that they have blog topics in the request session. If they don't, we send them back to blog topic. If they do, we add it into the context and we show this HTML, which then displays it for them. And then next week, what we'll do is that we'll have maybe a button that says pick this one, and whatever they pick, then we take that to the next level. Okay, but that will be too much to do today. So let's just test this works for now. And I think then we will pause this here and give you guys time to do this code properly, and then next week we'll continue from here. Okay, get Testing, let's test this. So that's great over there. So let's run this. We need to run server. Hope no errors, no errors. So let's refresh this. Awesome. So let's do that fashion ideas. Let's do that again. Or let's do something different. Cool gadgets. Cool gadgets you can get right now. Cool gadgets you can get right now. Okay. Free gadgets. Cheap gadgets. Yeah, let me put in those three keywords, and then let's see. Let's submit this. Yeah, it'll take a while, because if it's taking a while, it means the AI is running. Because we know the AI does take a bit. No, block topics is not defined. So what happened there? Side of the views, block topics not defined. So let's see, which line is this? Line 78. Yeah, of course, idiot. All right, so block topics is this, is request session.block topics. I'm being an idiot now. Okay. And all that waste, I've wasted all those credits for nothing. But clearly it ran. The fact that it ended up here means it went and there was something in the list and it created all of that and everything was fine. But I need to get it from the request.session. Okay. Yeah. Request session. All right, let's push this. And let us run it. Coolio. So we can actually try and refresh this page and see what happens, because technically then we don't have to rerun it again, because it is saved in the request sessions. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try to refresh the page. There you go. So 7 free gadgets you can get right now. 1, 2. So why did it put in the ones and everything? Because I was trying to get it to not do that by, so these are the kind of things we're going to have to work through, but I'm glad. So it put all of this into one paragraph, and this was one paragraph, and then it put all of this into one paragraph. So if I go back into my functions, you'll see, yeah, I don't know what else to, like, I don't want to use a minus, because you see minuses are in there as well. And I can't think of any other number to use that I can quickly be able to test. Okay. So I still want to keep the star. So let's just like, let's go back. Let's go back to generate blog. Let's incredible fashion deals of 2022 fashion clothes. All right, let's try this again. You see, this time it worked fine, but the last time it grouped everything in one loop, and I don't know why it did that. Okay, we have generated this possible block topic ideas for you. So I think what we'll do is that we will test this a couple of times and try and make sure that we must find, the key is to find a nice, sentence starter that OpenAI will then sort of follow your lead and use it every time, because you don't want it to not use this every time. So maybe what we can do is that we can then put in a control over here when we are watching the views there. So maybe when we get the response inside of the views, where is the views here? So when you get the response in here, we could check for you know, like here, we could check if there is multiple stars in there, you know. Actually, we can't check that in there. We would have to check that in the functions. So, I mean, think about it, guys. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend, and maybe you can leave some ideas for me in the comments below, because I'm trying to figure out how can I get something that will be consistently the same. Because if it works like this now, then the next person who does it, it doesn't use the stars, it uses numbers instead, then we're going to have a problem because our code will be inconsistent. Okay, so think about it. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you again, guys, next week when we continue where we left off. But so far, definitely I'm happy with where we are. What we're going to be doing next week now is maybe we'll put this inside of a button or inside of something that's clickable, that then the user can see the blog ideas that you've generated for them, and then they can pick one that they want to continue with, and then they pick one, and then it goes to the next page. And on the next page, we have a nice sort of like, you know, we'll have like a text editor in there where we would have specified the title, and then we're going to generate sections for that title, and then we're gonna, you know, start, you know, writing the blog that way. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again next week. Hopefully I'm not too busy this week, but yeah, we'll see you next time when we continue with this tutorial series.